right, my left. And he used to tell the bartender if the cadets coming over from the Citadel, if they were old enough to drink or not. He knew everybody. 2 guys came in one night, they weren't going on right now. What's the first question everybody wants to ask a Ouija board? Are you there? Okay, we'll take that. Okay. Standing in the servant and slave quarters for the home. So that's the layout of the land. First off, all of you communication pieces, so all the spirit boxes, I am not going to be giving you questions here like what color was George Washington's white horse, like what we did over there with the big red barn. I'm going to be withholding information starting now, just so you guys know. So, we're going to be talking about Eliza and Charles. They had a son named Charles. They also had an... Yes, those of you with video cameras, if you want to start them here, you can. So that would be the red circle on yours, Kevin. So, when I say she married him at a young age, think of today's standards. If you're going to ask her how old she was, it's not going to be numbers from colonial times of when a woman got married, like 12 and 14. You're going to get numbers according to today's standards. The reason I bring that up is because her husband was over double her age. It was a creepy age gap back then, a creepy age gap now. So kind of keep that in the back of your brains when you guys are listening to your spirit boxes. But she married her husband because her father, who's over in England, where she's from, thought he was dying. And he's trying to bring all of his children home one last time. Well, Eliza didn't believe he was dying, so she got married instead. It's 1744. You don't get married in that year for a green card. We're not even a country yet. So she did marry him out of love, and there was no foul play, so don't poke the bear. Again, don't make this woman angry. All activity will stop. Have you seen any numbers, by the way? Yeah, so just kind of keep an eye on it. It's not going to show it to me. It's going to be... So where was it? Oh, she was right. Her father didn't die right away. Instead, her father starts sending her gifts from England to this space.
You got something here?
She turned it on. That's what happened. She turned it on.
Oh.
One of those gifts that he sent her was the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have been in town for at least a day. You've seen the word indigo somewhere. That's a plant that makes blue dye that makes her blue jeans blue. Only one of you is wearing it tonight. You got blue jeans. So that's how we use it now. But when she got the seeds, she didn't know what to do with it. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's obviously not warm here all the time. So when she figured it out, she moved it to a cash crop, got a hold of her dad and said, rice plantations are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with this indigo. And we now have an international businesswoman during colonial times, which is something absolutely unheard of. So that's the boring business stuff. Let's get into the weird shit, because that's why you guys are here. Spirit boxes, I'm going to give you guys kind of a series of questions of things you can ask. So with yours, Alex, I want you to go after Eliza's death. I want you to ask how old she was, what she died from, where she's buried, what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. So those are 4 questions that we commonly get answers to. So we'll kind of start with that with yours and kind of see what happens. With yours, we're going to keep things simple because you're going to get small 1 to 2 syllable terms. The mansion's not here anymore. You can ask what happened to it, when did that happen? So obviously those are very specific things. You can also ask the names of her children, but don't ask anything else about her children. There's a tragedy there. We don't want to poke the bear. So try to get the names only and see what kind of happens with that. I am going to... Jose, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to keep Jose behind so I can show him how to use that motion sensor. The rest of you are going to be bouncing around. I'm going to be following up with all of you. I'll do 2 round robins and then pull us back here again to kind of collaborate to see what's going on. Again, if a space is weak, and I say dead as meaning no activity because of what you guys are not finding, I'll cut things short so we can move on to the next space. Keep in mind, we're doing mini investigations. 10 to 15 minutes max is all we're going to spend in a space, sometimes less than that. Now, normal investigations can go on for hours. And when I say hours, I'm talking like 8 to 12. So again, we're doing 15 minutes at a time in hopes that we're going to capture something within those 15 minutes. So start spreading out, get those spirit boxes cranked and unmuted. I'm going to keep Jose here so I can show him how to use this guy, and I'll be following up with all of you. So go ahead.
Just a question, the questions that we're supposed to ask, when you say it out loud?
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Oh.
If you want to focus on it, that's fine. If you want to ask him out loud, that's fine too. Whatever's easier for you.
Okay.
Some people get a little weird of asking questions to a person they can't see.
Got it.
So in some places you're going to see that's where I come into play. I'm like, all right, Eliza, tell me how old you were when you passed away.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So I'll jump in.
I got it.
All right. So with yours, seeing any numbers yet? Nothing at all. Okay. So just so you know, up to 1.1 is natural from the earth. I don't write anything down below 1.1. Those 2.5s and higher is where I'm going to start gauging it. but you're also going to escalate it for me. So if you get a 2.5 and then say a 5, like that's a 9.4.
9.4.
So
Yeah.
right now, I don't want to know anything below
8.3.
so anything below 8.3. So you had 9.4 and 8.3, which are good. Average spike for this location is about 18 to 22. That's really high for other locations, just so you know. So now that we actually have a few numbers, you've got your antenna pulled up, where the device is flipped around in that little, go ahead and flip it around to the back. So there's 2 little white buttons underneath your hand. So go ahead. Yeah, you need the white button. So turn it back around again. Click the one on the right hand side. How you doing? It didn't click in all the way. Try again.
Yeah.
There we go. Perfect. Every time you move, that's going to go off. There's a way to reset it. So every time it goes off, you're going to click the lowest button on the side. Yep. So every time it goes off, you'll just click it and reset it. So you'll click and release. So that way, if it goes back to the same color, like blue or purple, because notice that there's a bunch of different colors in there. If it goes back to that same color, it obviously didn't come from you. So you're going to try to stand still, reset it, and if it goes back to the same color, it's a good sign. So I'll be recording down any colors that you see. Also keep in mind the colors and numbers don't work together. You can have colors and no numbers and vice versa. So again, I'll say what colors and numbers have you seen? You'll tell me numbers and colors. So don't always expect them to occur at the same time. But yeah, everybody's going to be watching you because you're going to know where all the hot spots are. So again, your job is to kind of find out where those hottest spots are. But right now, we already have a 9.4 and an 8.3, so I'm good with that. Go ahead and reset. No, reset it every time it does that. Just keep in mind it's going to go off. Reset again. Okay. It's going to go off a lot with your movements.
Okay.
I normally give this to females because they walk more gracefully than us. So again, they have that smoother walk about them. Whereas with a guy, with every step, it's going to go off. I just thought I saw another number. But yeah, definitely keep an eye on it, and I'll do a couple round robin and get back to you to see what you found. Yeah, but definitely help her out by listening and see what you guys hear. Have you heard anything yet?
Just a word.
Which one was it?
I asked, did you live happy? And something would say like absolutely.
Okay, but that's also a yes/no question, but we'll take the absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so that's
something-
definitely not a yes/no answer. So, but try
when
to...
you lived where you were happy, I say something like that, right?
But yeah, try to avoid those because it could come through as a
Absolutely,
yes
but
no.
completely clear.
Yeah, that's awesome though. So, but again, it's definitely a response. So definitely help her out with listening, and hopefully you guys get some more. That'd be cool.
Tell me the name of your kids. I want to know the name of your kids. Careful.
Huh?
Careful.
Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Careful. That's too personal. Got you with another kind of questions.
Okay.
ask something else.
¿Ah?
¿Preguntas algo más?
No,
¿Por qué?
porque me dio miedo.
No, pregunta.
¿Qué otra cosa puedo preguntar? Dime.
La edad.
How old are you? How old are you?
¿7? ¿Cierto? Amor.
How old are you? Can you tell me how old are you? Tell me how old are you? How old are you? How old are you?
Esa de María es un aparato.
La caja esa,
Sí.
que es caja de como que empieza y
Por ahí hablan, capta esas frecuencias. Y le preguntó, dice,
póngale cuidado que este hijo de puta cada rato se pone huevón cuando uno menos piensa,
"¿Cómo?".
así normal y se sube acá, weón. O sea, ahí es porque uno lo toca, ¿no?
Y le preguntó ese, how old are you? ¿Cuánta edad tienes? 7, lo escuché clarito.
Sí.
Y le preguntó otro, es que, ¿cómo se llamaban tus niños? Y le respondieron, be careful.
No sé,
Ah.
puta, weón.
Alright, numbers, colors, anything going on?
Yeah, here is purple and 9 zero.
9.0. Okay, 0?
Yeah.
You got something else? Go into red, you said?
Red. Yeah.
And did it go back to red?
Yeah.
So we don't normally see reds in here.
Yeah, it's one red.
Definitely keep an eye on it, especially in this area. This is where you can
Yeah.
find it. Andrea, you got anything?
Okay.
Cuéntame.
I'm making her angry, baby.
¿Ah?
I'm making her angry.
¿Por qué?
I can make her angry even baby puppy.
¿Qué te dijo?
No, yeah, you're asking too much. Don't go
¿Le
there.
preguntaste algo más?
Don't go there.
Mira, ven, acércate donde la lumbre del y tú habla. Pregunta algo, María.
Can you tell me how old were you when you died?
Oh, vea, de 10.2, weón. Por acá, 6.9.
Así que,
Let me know.
22?
42?
42. Marica, 42.
Sí.
You guys look all out.
¿Sí lo escuchó?
Yeah, it's
Six,
blue and
two.
purple.
Was it
Okay.
purple?
Blue and purple.
And she
I asked that, how old were you when you died, and he was 42.
6.2.
It's wrong.
Oh, 22? Something with 2.
So she actually was asking how old she was when she passed away as well, and she got the year instead. So it's like, how old were you when you passed away? And she heard 93.9 from a radio station. Well, she died in the year 1793. It's not the age of her when she died, but she did get something very relevant to her death, which was the year. So 42.
And how old was she when she died?
I'm going to tell you before we leave the space. I don't want to give it away just yet, but we're going to give this like one more minute just to kind of see, just because we had that careful. So I'm glad you switched the topic.
I should just change the topic.
Over there. María.
What'd you get out of that?
Yeah, red. Blue and purple.
Vamos a preguntar algo más.
Oh, another purple?
Pregunta algo más. Y pregúntale que si tenía mascotas o algo así.
Did you have any pet?
Ask again.
You have dogs, cats?
Horse? Yo en 2 meses sentí una escala.
Go ahead and kill your video. I want
Hay
you
un
to keep yours
ejemplo,
going if you got
cuando
something
me
bouncing
pegué con
around.
María, parce, eso ahí fue cuando se subió.
After it beeps.
Okay, so go ahead and kill it then, because it'll give me the temperature readouts. Go ahead and stop your video as well. So,
Abraham?
and you had eyes and terrible.
Yeah.
Here's an interesting thing about eyes. We commonly get the letters RI down here. The weird thing is like, I also have a digital Ouija board in my bag that I will hand out for somebody to use, and I bought it for this specific space. The initials RI are going to stand out here, but you had the word eyes. So again, not really sure that we're going to find the R by itself, but we'll see what actually happens. So, welcome to Philadelphia Alley. This is a very unique place. Every tour comes down here, just so you guys know. In the event that they will come down either way, we'll just kind of split the seas and let them pass through. This used to be called Dueler's Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So, which is why we're here. Every ghost tour tells the same story. However, you're going to get more details out of this because we're not sitting around a campfire with marshmallows. You need more details for your spirit boxes. Which, by the way, I haven't checked my word list in a minute.
I'm gonna walk behind this. Sorry.
No, you're good. There's people coming by. So
Well, there's something here.
just so you know, I wouldn't expect any numbers down here. If we do, it's going to be well over 7. And it's just because we have so many lampposts around us. So. But I want you guys to also keep in mind, as we're going through this, this is a very, very quiet alley. And there's a reason for it. We're going to get to that too. Maria's looking at like, where the hell did you bring us? There's somebody creeping in the bushes. So, here's how the story goes. There's a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. There's your first RI, Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. I say his name slowly because it does often show up here. He moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. He tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. So, Dr. Ladd moves down here to Charleston to prove that he's not after Amanda's money. As he's coming into town, a coachman set him up to be robbed and killed. So he wasn't having a very good start to his stay in Charleston. But somebody was walking by. He was a local, not actually from here, but he lived here long enough. His name was Ralph Isaacs. There's your second R.I. So we do have R.I. that shows up here a lot. Ralph tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. I got some friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there, rent a room, and you'll be safe. 59 often shows up here as well, as does the word church. Not to mention, we're next to St. Philip's Church. So we do get a lot of religious terms around here. But anyway, the doctor took him up on the offer. They became friends. The longer the doctor stayed in Charleston, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he's not just after Amanda's money. Amanda gets wind that he's doing well and she's coming down, so that way they can get married. Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. I want you to keep in mind that every haunted city you're ever going to visit has a cliched whistling ghost. It is just something that's out there. However, there is proof of this one, and I'm going to get to that. Dr. Ladd and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other. Why? The doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. That's just the way the hierarchy works here. So they have to talk about these plays on the way home. They go see Richard III one night from Shakespeare. They're arguing over the new actress. Dr. Ladd thought she was fantastic. Ralph, not so much. They start arguing, and then Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home. It gets really ugly, and they go their separate ways. I told you Ralph had friends here. He goes to his friends at the newspaper, puts an ad in the paper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society, sir, kind of mentality. Very nasty stuff. Dr. Ladd saw the ad and rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this. So they came down here, they took their 10 paces, they turned. The doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight, which is often what happened at a duel. You shoot it into the ground or into the air. But Ralph has his one shot, and he puts it on the kneecap in the doctor. So, the doctor doesn't die either. He drops to the ground, his friends pick him up, carried him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later after refusing medical treatment. So, you have to remember that this guy's a doctor. You guys hearing that?
Yeah.
It's probably just some leaves falling. But he's a doctor. He probably tried to bleed out the bullet himself. Would have been more of a threat of lead poisoning than it was a gunshot wound. Every ghost tour that comes down here will tell their folks, listen for the whistles. They say you can hear the doctor through whistling as you're walking through here. We are using my voice recorder. It is a 3-way recorder. Hopefully you'll find something when you're listening to this part of the audio. I will tell you I have some whistles that I can't debunk. We will also get the word whistle on a spirit box or a song with just a whistling part in it while we're in this location. Think of Guns N' Roses' Patience, the new Maroon 5 song with Moves Like Jagger with the whistling part. We've heard that before. Again, this is not coincidence, guys. We get it all the time. So here's how I got booted out of here, because I can't take you all the way through this alley. We're actually not allowed to go all the way to the end of this. I used to before I knew my boundaries. Here's how this part of the story goes, and this is the fun part. This alley didn't come all the way through. This is where they held the livestock, so they needed somewhere to block the animals from leaving. So it was actually cut off halfway between us and Cumberland Street. So, some of the neighbors coming by. Maybe. But anyway, so I used to take my folks all the way down to the end because those bricks down there are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint down there from a kid that had to turn a brick. So one night, November 26th of 2020, my entire team is down there and they're all staring at it. So they're trying to figure out like what's going on with it, can they get a reading from it, the whole 9 yards. I'm trying to scurry them along because 2 reasons. First off, I treat that brick the same way I do a grave. That kid is not staring at that brick in the afterlife. So I know that, it's something sad and we all need to see it, but the other piece is it's outside the dining room window of a beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. Yeah, the new owner came out of that mansion screaming. My daughter thought it was great because Dad's getting screamed at. We moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I worked in retail for over 20 years, mainly for Walmart. You can feel my pain just by looking at me. So I don't work Thanksgiving anymore. The next day, I got a phone call asking me to go down halfway, which is what we're allowed to do, or to reroute my group. So I decided it wasn't fair for my groups of 10 to be working around 20 to 60, which is often what's down here. We're allowed to go to 20 people, I just won't do it. But anyway, so I told my group that night, I don't believe the next story we're going into. I'm not a pirate person, I'm a vampire guy. We're going to see what happens. Obviously, we're going to be investigating a pirate next, but what I didn't tell that group is who we were going to be investigating, and somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell them we were going to be investigating the female pirate, Anne Bonny. So I was like, damn it. We'll see what happens. We get up there. Somebody else heard the number 300. I didn't know what that meant in real time. I had to do the research the next day. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. It is a hit or miss location. I've done more research on pirates than I ever wanted to in my entire life. So again, I've read more books and have tried to verify enough pirate lore based on the amount of research that I've done. So everything we're going to be discussing next came out of a minimum of 2 resources. Again, when I say hit or miss location, we're either going to get a lot or nothing at all. That's just the way the space works. So we're going to be seeing other tours cutting through that area. We're just going to stay out of their way. We could also get bleed over from this location, just so you know. We could get things relative to the doctor. Back to the whistling. If you're going to try to go through here on your own, using your own voice recorders, keep in mind every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland Street or Queen Street on the other side throws a whistle, you're not recording, by the way, just so you know.
No, I know.
Okay.
I was just looking.
Gotcha. Sorry, I always like to catch those things.
Yeah.
Make sure it's on the right side, you know, that kind of, but anyway, the whistle that you're going to find, if you do find anything, is not going to be it's not going to be very obvious. It's going to be very faint and in the background. I get more excited about the word whistle coming through on a spirit box, you know, through the recording. I'm like, oh shit, we're in Philadelphia Alley, and I heard the word whistle. Or an actual whistle coming through. I get more excited about that than I would on the voice recorder, just because of what it actually is. It's a little bit more validation than, was it the wind? Was it anything going by? But if you hear how quiet it is now, it is always this quiet. Even on a busy Saturday afternoon, I don't know how or why, but this alley always remains this quiet. It's the creepiest thing ever. And it's the most gorgeous spot we have, by the way. You can put rainbow...
We were crossing that way, and
it is gorgeous down here. This is probably one of my favorite spots in all of Charleston, believe it or not. When I'm coming down here and just kind of doing more research and seeing if I can capture more evidence that you guys don't hear in real time, I just sit down on an edge, I light up my pipe, and I just sit here and listen to a spirit box and wait for something to happen on an EMF. That's how I know these readings so well. So I spend time in here before I take you guys to them. But I've been touring this spot for about 3 years. So again, I know it pretty well. Have you guys heard any? I know you've been focused on me. Did you hear anything?
I heard one. I just heard one.
The word? Oh, who heard the numbers? Wasn't there something with a 7?
107, 109, 107?
I think it was 107. 7s normally show up in doubles, so there's probably another 7 that you may have missed because you were focused on me. The reason why, it's the doctor's birthday, July 7th, 7-7. We get 7s here all the time. So again, when you told me that number, I was not surprised. So it's not that I'm not excited about it, but I know that there's probably a second one on the recording that she missed in real time. So that's why we record everything. Unfortunately, we can't always do that because of the device that you... All right, I say we gotta learn about some crazy... Oh, before we leave, this gate. I love this gate, and I always forget to do this. So this gate is here, and the reason why I stop here is because this is the shortcut. Remember that the alley didn't go all the way through. So if there was a loser to a duel, meaning somebody who died from a gunshot wound, this was the shortcut to get to the cemetery on the other side of the wall. So this is a courtyard, and there's St. Philip Cemetery is right there.
You heard shotgun, right? Before.
Who heard shotgun?
Shotgun, you said? Or
I didn't hear shotgun.
no?
Did you hear?
Did you hear shotgun?
When we were crossing that way, that side,
Yeah. You heard shotgun?
shotgun.
That's decent stuff. We'll take gun in this location. It definitely wasn't a shotgun. Like, these would have been flintlocks.
Okay.
So, like dueling pistols. So, 1786, so wouldn't have had the flare anymore. So, would have definitely been a... Sorry, I had to study the damn flintlocks based on pirates in this because we were getting, like, parts of flintlocks. Like brass pan, flash, you know, all of the little things that are part of a flintlock gun. So it's kind of like, what the heck? I don't know guns. Like, I'm not a gun guy. So it's kind of like, damn it, now I gotta look into guns. Damn these pirates and dueling people. Alright, so those of you recording, if you want to continue recording as we kind of go through the next space, by all means do so. Remember that we're going to be seeing other tours, just don't film them directly. So let's do this. We're going to hopefully get some readings out of you at the next space.
Well, I thought I did, but... Mira que no se mueve una hoja. That's something. Somebody here?
No.
What's your name?
Tell me your name.
Like in the window, kind of like that bottom pane. See that dot?
Yeah. Black
Okay.
spot over there.
Okay.
You say you saw a black shadow over there?
Yeah, it was like a little. In the
Yeah,
alleyway. Yeah, on the ground. It looked
Huh?
like it was running across.
Old Town.
Sorry, in that white building, the window, the bottom corner, there looked like a little head in the window.
That would be cool. You get it on video?
Yeah. Yeah, and the your sensor stays right on it. The whole time. Yeah, it's just like
Claro, eso ya no. No movíamos una sola hoja.
right in that spot, it looks like a head. I don't know if it's microphone or what.
Because I can't see through it. It only looks for certain.
Okay.
So definitely something to look at.
Oh.
¿Cierto? Aquí, uff.
Anything else you may have heard?
No.
Just got the word rope.
Oh.
Pirates were hung. Did you get anything out of there?
Mm-mm.
Again, this is all vague stuff, but still vaguely relevant. So we're going to see if we get the word hung or any of the names of the pirates that we're going to be discussing. This is about to give me another term. Who wants to go through it? Come on, Anne. What do you want to tell us? Before I even tell your story. That's crazy. Regard.
Chris.
I don't know who Chris is. I'm going to write it down anyway, just in case. We're going to be discussing that little tiny building over there with the crosses on it. First off, those are not crosses. Those are earthquake bolts. Earthquake bolts.
12?
Hmm?
12?
Row?
Ralph.
Well. Name.
Ralph? Ralph? You heard Ralph?
Well.
Where did you hear that at?
The
So you were getting bleed over from... Were you close to the camera by chance?
Where? Over there?
Yeah, like when she heard Ralph
because
come
I live I stay by myself, like
You're-
alone, and you
okay.
were like,
Just didn't know if we were to have something to verify, because, I mean, Ralph is a very specific name. I think that's good. So, those earthquake bolts, the reason I bring those up is part of the reason why we're here. So, earthquake bolts, if you're not familiar with them, they're basically turnbuckles. So if we have another earthquake, like what we did in 1886, like what I talked about earlier, you can turn those turnbuckles, and it's supposed to tighten the building back up so it doesn't get any further damage from the earthquake. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. So Californians laugh at me every time I tell them about this, because yeah, that technology is really old. But those earthquake bolts specifically are the first set of earthquake bolts that Charleston put in, because that's the oldest government building we have in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. We are here because this building is what I call a familiar. So it's like using a toy to attract a child ghost from your TV shows. This would be a familiar building because Anne Bonny came here at the time that this building was being constructed. So it's something that she would actually recognize. So This building took 10 years to build. Does that sound like our government? Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. But the story begins actually in the middle of that. So 1708. Try to follow me. There's a couple of twists in here. We're talking about crazy-ass pirates. So, young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormac. She comes here with her father and her father's mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Are you guys with me so far? I see a couple of blank faces. Do I need to go over it again? So she's with her dad and his girlfriend. The girlfriend is her mom.
Okay.
The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. So, yeah. How mad was the wife that they had to leave Ireland to come here by boat? Just pointing that out. 1708. There's no planes.
Mad an angry Irish woman.
I know, right? I'd be bolting the country too. So they land in Georgetown. That's between us and Myrtle Beach. So it's about an hour north of here. Dad bought a plantation. Mom died pretty quickly. That means he has to send young Anne down here to be able to sell anything from the plantation to help keep things afloat. So backwards, let's take a step back a little bit. Back in Ireland, Anne is said to have killed one of her servants when she was only 7, 8, 9 years old. Remember, this is pirate lore, and nothing is going to be exact. With a knife to the belly to the servant. So again, just want to put the mentality of this young lady in your heads as we go through her story. Fast forward, the building is done in 13. By 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne is stoked. Why? Because she's going to fall in love so she can earn her freedom, just like a man. It's a man's world. First guy she falls in love with. Yes, I said first because there's a handful. Chris is not one of them, by the way. So, first guy is James Bonney. You already know where this is going because we've already mentioned her married name, Anne Bonney. Dad didn't approve. Filthy pirates. They ran away to Jamaica. They got married. We now have Anne Bonney, the famous female pirate. However, James Bonney is not Captain Jack Sparrow like she was hoping for. This guy happens to be a privateer. He's a spy for the British. He's basically ratting out his own people to the British. So this guy's a coward in her eyes, and she falls in love again a few years later. This is John Rackham, a.k.a. Calico Jack. This is the guy that they based your Captain Jack Sparrow character off of. So this is the guy that she actually wants. Jack has his own ship. And Anne wants to be part of the crew. You can't put a girl on a pirate crew. Does anybody know why? Family friendly. You can't put a girl on a pirate crew because it's bad luck. So he makes a deal with her. If you dress like the crew and hide your gender, you can be part of the crew, but you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to hide her away from his wife. So she said, whatever, let's do this, I'm a pirate. But let's put two and two together. She's a female in his quarters. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl, and then they're going to get Jack off the ship. So he drops her off in Cuba. Go have the baby over here. These are friends of mine, they'll help you. Come back later. We'll figure it out. She goes and has the baby, but returns with no baby. We have no idea what happened to the child. The weird thing about this part of the story, she comes back dressed as a girl, which means Jack's crew is going to now know that he let a girl on the crew and basically get him off the ship. He's pretty mad. While she was gone, he captured another pirate crew. They're down below deck. She's going to go flirting with that pirate crew. And that's guy number 3, in case you guys lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack captured. So now we have 2 females dressed like males trying to be pirates. Her name was Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate. So, her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers, we don't really know for sure, but the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of ships. The rumor is that Anne and Mary were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks. Obviously, they're not going to be able to take on a whole fleet of ships. They get arrested. While they're being arrested, she looks at her beau, Captain Jack. She says, sorry to see you here, but you should have fought like a man instead of being hanged like a dog. The word dog shows up here a lot. We've even had dogs barking on a commercial before. So just weird things. So, the judge wants to see the quote-unquote men that fought back so valiantly on their own. So, he's already tried and hung Calico Jack and the drunk pirates. They're dead and gone. So the 2 ladies go in front. They reveal their gender. He doesn't care that they're female. They're still pirates. He's still going to hang them. We plead our bellies was the last thing they screamed because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. So he sends them both back to jail, delays the hanging. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. He bails her out, brings her back home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're going to count Mary because we don't really know. She has 4 kids, dies at the age of 84. Yes, very abrupt, I know. But we don't know much about her after her pirate career. As far as Mary Reed goes, she died a year later, in 1721, from whatever pirates die from in Jamaican jails. Use your imagination. Most books will tell you that it was fever. I'll call bullshit on that. It was probably some kind of scurvy or nasty, bumpy mess that she had going on. A couple of things I left out of here on purpose. You guys know what you're doing with your spirit boxes by now. The only two things I really left out of here are the name of Calico Jack's ship and the name of Anne Bonny's parents. That's the father and his mistress. So I left those out purposely just so you'd have something to go with. We're not dealing with a prominent English woman here. Don't be afraid to get a little aggressive with these questions. We're not tiptoeing around Eliza Pinckney here. So again, sometimes we have to stir the pot to get Anne to really answer us. So are they with yours? You're going to turn on that REM pod in the back, and hopefully Anne is going to show you what color her hair was. It was red. This is the only space I've ever gotten a red on command, meaning I asked, hey, can you show me the color red? And we got the color red. Turns out it's her hair color. So those are the things we're going to be looking for. Don't get excited when you see numbers close to that, like the bush line. We have 2 electrical poles in the corners that'll make your device go off with the numbers. It's all about colors in here, so kind of let me know what colors you're seeing. We are going to spread out. We'll see what's going on. Again, I'll know within 5 minutes if we have something going on, but we already have the word rope and prison that showed up while we've been here, so we'll kind of see what else we get. The best orb I've ever caught with that camera has been at this location near that wall up there, just so you have an idea of what's going on. Kevin, as far as your camera, it has acted up in this space in the past, where it has whatever that person was filming, that device stopped working. Like the strangest things. And then started back up again once they stopped filming that particular person. Like crazy stuff has happened in this space. But again, sometimes things happen, sometimes they don't. We'll see what happens. So let's spread out. Let's have some fun. Yeah, get that thing unmuted. I want to turn up your noise adjustment a little bit, just because I think you're getting a little too much. Acting that way. Like you shouldn't be getting that much. Like it should be coming out in small spurts.
Okay.
So I'm going to reset the whole thing and see what we can get out of it. Filter.
frontal. Reflections.
Go ahead and point the camera pretty close to this wall without me in it. See how it turns red? Watch what happens to the wall now. Based on what's inside.
Okay.
So there's a
Like
ring,
a
lighting ring,
Yeah.
because the ring is obviously metal.
Yeah.
It's going to hold on.
What color was your hair? I want to know the color of your hair.
Here we go.
129.
29.
129.
It's a weird number. It's almost a date, like January 29th.
Hmm.
How I look at these when you guys are throwing me numbers like that, I'm like, can that be added into a date? Is it a year? Is it an age? You know, it's is
What
it
kind of questions should I ask into
the easiest one is the names of her parents.
Okay.
So those are things we commonly get here. Or you can ask the name of her lovers, like any of those, because you know those, you know. So I mean, the name Jack shows up here a lot. We get that quite often. We don't always get James. We always get either John or Jack, which is the same person, because he went by John Rackham. That's his real name. His nickname was Calico Jack. So John and Jack are usually names that we commonly get here.
Okay.
So what do you think? Is this what you guys signed up for? Is this as scary as you thought it was going to be?
Well,
So nice. Just it's not just hearing history.
Mm-hmm.
It's like see it.
Well, when you guys get your videos back, you're gonna realize. Are you recording? Cool. You're gonna realize like how much data you actually get back out of this. Like there's a lot going on when I give you your full report, because you're gonna have a lot to go through. That's the fun part. So, like for me, I get to research, especially like when she gives me numbers like that and I don't know what they are. It's like woohoo! I get to research something new. Jose, any numbers?
Pregúntale el mes en que murió.
what day did you die? 12.
What day did you die?
What day did you die? ¿Tú no estás poniendo atención a tu cámara?
Estás filmando todo normal.
Bueno, ¿alguno sabes hablar español? Y si yo no hablo inglés, entonces no me escuchan.
Sí. Las propiedades 300 años. Ahí está. Pregúntale. How old are you? How old are you? What's your name?
Tell me the name of your lovers.
Anything else coming out of there? It's a little harder now that I took out some of the noise, isn't it? Yeah, I thought so. That's the way that one's supposed to be.
Might be the corner post of the wall. But it's weird. It looks like kind of like angel wings or something, and it's just kind of moving. But see over to the left, there's two more
They
squares.
look like windows.
Yeah, they're like perfect, but there's no window there. I'm really curious now what that is. There's more squares. Like when I move them over, there's squares again. Yeah, but maybe it's a tombstone.
What you looking at?
There's like this little. Let me try to get it. See those little squares there?
Mm-hmm.
There's like those two squares, and there was a bigger rectangle up in here that was just kind of floating a little bit. But I was trying to make out.
With an update.
Pregunta.
Let me know the name of your lover.
Mira, vamos allá de José.
Alright guys, let's bring it in. Kind of tell me what we got going on here. Alex, you got anything else on there?
No.
Okay.
No.
I will tell you, I'm excited about a couple of things, mainly because we have 2 out of the 3 numbers for the date of the trial. She heard 11, 20, and the number 79, which isn't relevant, but 11 and 20 are. Anne Bonny's trial took place in November of 1720. So again, we have 11 and 20. I'm excited about that. You did get the name Anne, so that one's pretty cool. So I'm definitely hip to that. The word died, it's very vague, but again, we don't know where she died. There's actually rumors that she may have stayed here, or she may have moved to Virginia to change her name and start a new family with a new husband. We have no idea what the hell happened to this woman. It's all very, it's up for speculation. So let's kind of go through the very quick answers of the questions that I gave you. By the way, this is one of the few pictures you can find of Anne Bonny with a shirt on. The reason why, she used to bare her breast to show men that they were just killed by a woman. Told you, this chick was a badass. So, obviously her hair color is red, if you can see that in this painting. And of course, I like to show off the flintlocks too, because that would have been the style of gun that she would have tried to, save her own ship with. The names of her parents, William Cormac, Mary Brennan. This was not a subliminal trick for you, because we did have Mary Reed, that was, her lover / companion on the ship. It just happens to be that her mother's name was also Mary. I wasn't trying to trick you guys at all. Let's see. Calico Jack. Everybody wants to see what they base Johnny Depp off of. So, I always show this picture too. This is Calico Jack. He was named that because of the jackets that he wore.
Okay.
So his father was a tailor, so textiles were very important to his family. So he stole these jackets from British captains that he killed. Calico Jack, fancy jacket. That's where the name comes from. The name of his ship was called the Kingston. So I don't expect Kingston to come through yours. With hers picking up more disembodied voices, I would say Kingston would be something we would expect out of it. We haven't had it yet, but the word king would actually suffice in this location. We have to kind of mix our technology based on...
I heard Majesty earlier. Just while you're talking, I said
I want to say that there was a Majesty pirate ship. I don't know who it was owned by, but I'm definitely going to write it down. So, again, it's very interesting that you heard the term Majesty. I'm not going to take that as king. I'm going to take it for face value.
When you showed that picture, it said Majesty.
Very interesting. But yeah, that's definitely a cool term to hear. Some of these cars, I swear. Another part of the heated warning from the beginning of our tour about people getting sick on the tour. By the way, you can stop your video and kind of give it a break. Elijah's great nephew, and he was an editor for a newspaper at the Mercury. folks that go through here as part of their graveyard tour. You can see the footpath that they take.
Yeah.
But I didn't get a ton of photos on graveyards. I've never even like reached out to these people like, hey, can I bring my tours through here? Like, I'm not gonna do that. We just don't get a whole lot of evidence.
Yeah, anything.
No.
Nothing. We get more of it from the front too, you'll be able to see it.
¿Quién es aquí?
¿Quién está aquí?
Someone around here? Somebody here? What's your name? Tell us your name. Tell us something about you.
Tell me something about you, please.
How can we help you?
Answer your questions? Yes. But none of that was questions.
Somebody here?
The best evidence I have of that camera came from a little kid.
Oh, really? Oh.
You could see the entire shape, the walking motion the whole time, and there wasn't a person there. So verified with the other camera. That was cool. Probably some of the best evidence I've ever had for that camera.
Las pitonizas sacando la cal de la piel al hueso y fin como abrir la tierra de panteón.
How did you die?
Comprar uno de esos y tener uno en la casa, ¿no? Todas las noches.
How did you die?
Que estamos persiguiendo fantasmas, ya lo llamo. Estamos acá en un caso paranormal, ¿no? Rece por nosotros. Dios me lo bendiga, mi señor José. Vale. Muy chistoso. No, pues se come el paro completo. Uy, ¿cómo chino esto?
Did you guys hear anything out of that spirit box?
She heard something, I guess.
What'd you get, Maria?
I'm getting a lot of names.
Like what?
Joe, again Ralph,
Ralph again?
and Joseph, and an aunt.
Like Ann Bonnie.
The aunt, yeah. Oh, I just remember that name.
Interesting. Were you getting those names along the way here, closer to the cemetery back there?
No, here.
Here as we were walking in? Interesting. That Ralph is interesting.
But Ralph is the second time.
Yeah, because that's a weird name to hear on the radio. Interesting. So I actually had the name George show up
Oh, George as well.
as we were
Over there.
walking through. It showed up on my word list. You're in George Washington Park. So again, hopefully the word Washington will show up. That's an easy grab from a radio station. So hopefully we get the full name. Unfortunately, we're not here for George. We're here for the guy behind me. This is Henry Timrod. So I was waiting for you to tell me either the name Henry or Tim, because his name is Timrod. Now, the first time I came here, I was just experimenting. I only had 2 people that night. It was nice and cold. Nobody wanted to come out ghost hunting besides those 2. And I was like, we're going to experiment with this space and see what happens. We had Henry, Tim, and the year of his birth, the exact year of his birth, show up, which I want to say was like 1827 or something along those lines. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I was like, I know I've heard this story before, so I had to go home and research who the heck Henry Timrod was. So the story of Henry is that he was sick through most of his life, and he was obviously during the time of the Civil War, and he wanted to go fight in the Civil War and fight for the Confederacy. So he went to the battlefield, but his friends realized he was too sick to fight. So they basically told him to go home and be the voice of the war. It's because they knew he was a writer. So he went home and started writing poetry about what was going on the battlefield and in the hearts and minds of all of those here in Charleston, because it was a pretty big deal for us down here. So a few years later, after the Civil War is over, he actually has a son that dies at a pretty young age. I'm not going to tell you how old he was or what his name was, but hopefully you get those through your spirit boxes. So he's like grief-stricken, and a couple of years later he's still writing, but his college friend called him up and said, I have a cottage out here in Columbia. Why don't you come out here and finish writing the piece you're working on for the paper in peace and quiet? So he goes out to his cottage, and that's where he wrote his last words. His last words were, beholder of brief mortality, meaning person of short life. And then he coughed, and whatever he coughed landed on the page in a blood stain. He had tuberculosis. That blood stain looks like a man writing at his desk. So they show this page one day a year at the Charleston Library Society because that's where his collection is held. And they only show it on Halloween. It is called the Blood Book. I am going to show you the page so you know what it looks like, and then I'm going to actually read a stanza to kind of stir things up from one of his poems called Charleston. And slow. Yeah, Charleston's pretty common that shows up. But this is the page that he coughed on, and you can even see his last words of beholder of brief mortality. So it's just kind of ironic that he died after coughing on this page and writing that specific line. So again, it looks like a man writing at his desk. But again, they only show this in real life on Halloween. So the stanza that I read is based off of that, like I said, the poem Charleston, and it just kind of stirs things up. This is a very shy, short man. So when you're asking questions like what his wife's name was, what his son's name was, his son's birthday is very specific as well. It's a holiday. So hopefully you guys may hear that. We've gotten it here in the past. But anything else you want to ask, just again, remember he's shy. Kind of keep that in mind. We know not in the temple of the fates, God has inscribed her doom. Look, you notices God as a female. And all untroubled in her faith she waits, the triumph or the tomb. This was written in 1862, right in the middle of the Civil War. He's basically stating that Charleston has to await the outcome of the war to know if Charleston is going to be part of the triumph or part of the tomb. So they need to rise or fall. So again, we do get heavy, heavy, heavy EMF readings here. We've seen triple digits in certain grassy areas, but it's never consistent. So if you find them, obviously the motion sensor needs to be on too in this location. Other tours love to come through here. We even have a homeless gentleman that likes to hang out in here from time to time, so just kind of stay clear of him and any other tours that are passing through. So again, let's be respectful to Mr. Oh, by the way, do you guys know what an SLS camera is? That's the stick figures you guys see on your TV shows. Yeah. Somebody brought one of those on my tour a few weeks ago. We had an 8-minute interaction of a stick figure standing next to this statue. And when I say interaction, Henry, is it okay if I read the last stanza of Charleston? Raise your right hand. Goes up and then down. Henry, do you want to shake my hand? It was a woman standing next to the wrought iron gate here, and she outreached her hand and he disappeared and we couldn't get him back. You have to remember the time he came from. It was probably disrespectful for a female to outreach her hand to shake a man's hand. So again, this was 1867 that he passed away. So again, those were different times back then, so we couldn't get it back, and we tested the fact that it was a legitimate figure. I walked around this thing several times. I told you all of your data goes to my website. You can go back to December, and I notated it so everybody knows which investigation it was, and you can go right to the marker and watch the video yourself. Like, it is crazy stuff. Unfortunately, the gentleman that brought the camera didn't know how to record, so we had to use your camera over the shoulder of the person using the SLS camera. So we have the footage that way, and that way you get to hear all of the things that we were asking him. Very cool interaction. So with that technology, we actually found a better technology with a tablet, with an iPad. So we're going to be adding an SLS camera to this in the next couple of weeks. And of course, I have to test it in a few locations before I bring it to the tour to teach you guys how to use it. But instead of carrying that big bulky thing around, because I did have one of those, we found a way to use a tablet with the new LiDAR technology that's being used in iPad products. So again, LiDAR is a depth perception. It's very cool. Sorry to get all geeky out on you, but I can't wait to bring this thing to the tour. Like, it's going to be a big deal. So we're pretty excited about that. And after seeing that interaction and seeing how it actually can work, it's really cool stuff. But yeah, let's have some fun. This is our last stop, just so you guys know. Definitely, I'll be keeping an eye on you. Let me know if you get any triple digits. Anything over 100, like, I'm stoked about. But again, I'll take even like 50s to 75s. We're going to be excited about that as well. But yeah, get those spirit boxes cranked up. Let's see what we can find in here. Let's do this.
What is the name of that camera? LSD camera? You said?
SLS.
SLS?
Yes.
SLS.
So when you guys get your data back, I actually wrote a field guide. So if you didn't have a spirit box, you know how to listen to Alex's recording. And I also list the apps that I trust. There is an SLS camera app that we're going to be attaching to that iPad. It works better with an Apple product, but it can work on an Android phone. It just doesn't work as well. So that is actually going to be listed on your field guide as well, so you can be able to download it right to your phone. So I make things nice and easy. Like, I don't make any money from it. I just want you guys to have the knowledge of how to actually go through this stuff. So again, I wrote that field guide so you knew what you were looking for on the cameras and all of that stuff. So, but yeah, I put a lot of time and effort into this, as I'm sure you could see. And I can see it all over your face that you guys appreciate it.
So nice. So you have like a YouTube channel or something where you...
So the YouTube channel I use is just kind of a storage base for all of the videos, and I separate everything by month, so I can kind of see like how many hours did we record this month, how many hours did we record that month, and kind of do a comparison. And that way I get to either tweak things. Did I have a bad interaction with the person using this camera, and you know, they didn't fully understand like what they were looking for? So I use a lot of that for the teach and train of the tour. But yeah, the YouTube channel is basically just storage. When you guys get your website link tomorrow, like, I embed those videos into your analysis, so that way you don't have to go to YouTube. It's all on the website.
Alright.
So I make it nice and easy. That way you guys can download them.
Oh, nice. More. Pregunta.
Henry, what's the name of your wife? Let me know the name of your wife, Henry. What's the name of your kid?
How old are you? How old are you?
Henry, I want to know the name of your wife. I want to know the name of your wife, Henry. Henry,
No pregunto por ahí nada.
¿no?
Que si no es Enrique está.
Who wants to communicate? Hello?
What's your name? What's your name?
What's your name?
Vamos a ver.
Again, we've seen that thing go all the way to, I was just telling Kevin, 157 in this location.
57?
157.
Okay.
Yeah, we've seen it go really high here. That spot is actually the exact opposite side over there by those benches. So I don't know if you want to try over there, you can. But that's where we've gotten that. Was it Sarah? No, but I'm going to write it down because I don't know who it is. Could be somebody. Again, there's a lot of monuments in here. We've gotten other clues to other people. And so I always look at the names that you guys are finding.
That's the only thing. Why am I getting his name?
I don't know. 'Cause there's a lot of people here. We also get the name of that church. It's here too. Nobody's gotten it yet. So we'll kind of see what happens. That shows up here all the time.
Vaya a la nueva al veterinario.
¿No puedes decir mira película? O es I think we got Jorge no tomorrow. Qué lindito.
¿Estamos solos?
Sí. Empezó. Como que ya no. Is it spiritual box?
No.
Tiene una antena, porque no lo haces ahora.
No, porque no me lo fue acá.
Tienes una linterna. Is somebody here? Tell me your name, please. Jorge, what's your name? What's your name? No, llamo mommy.
Ah, mommy? Okay, she's oh, no, mommy.
Mama.
Maria, you got anything? Oh, this is in the hot spot. That's where we get those high numbers.
Amor. Maria. Come here.
Jose, any numbers? What do you want to tell us? Tell us your son's name, your wife's name. You know, how these boxes are starting to work for us. You guys from DC?
Yeah, we came from DC. Yeah. Are you from Charleston? No?
I'm originally from Ohio.
Ohio.
I've been in Charleston for about 6 years now, a little over, but I've been in South Carolina for about 10 and a half years now. I lived in Myrtle Beach before here.
Oh.
But yeah, this is way more my speed with all the history. I don't know if you've ever been to Myrtle Beach.
No.
It's very, how do I put this? It's more of a fun, lively town. Like, lots of, like...
Yeah, this one is so quiet, right?
Quiet. It's got all the history here. Much different type of people than in Myrtle Beach. So Myrtle Beach, like, it was okay when I first moved there. Like, I really liked it, but the more I stayed there, I'm like, yeah, I'm over this. Like, I want to move. So I came down here with my new wife, and this is way more our speed. And of course, what I do now, you know, this is obviously my glory. Like, this is all I do all day. Like, I just work on your guys' stuff. I'm constantly researching and writing, and everything deals with the paranormal in some way.
Yeah.
So, just constant.
So nice.
Yeah, I mean, just coming from a retail world, yeah, this is way nicer than working in retail.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Maria, you got anything?
If I tell you that I heard Ralph again, you will believe me. I just
Crazy.
heard Ralph.
That's a lot of Ralphs.
I have no idea about Ralph, but Ralph.
Ralph. All right, Alex, come on over. Tell us what you got, if anything. Jose, you got any numbers? Nothing. Had a couple show up. We got a 9.5 and then an 11.3. So I'm excited about those. So the name of the son was Willie. Very specific, and that's the way it normally shows up. And we've had it, I want to say, at least 2 to 3 times in the past 2 months that I've been coming here. The wife's name was Katie. And we've had that show up a couple of times now. The birthday of the son was Christmas Eve. so December 24th. So that's a very specific date. And it was an easy grab for December, obviously, because radio stations are going to be saying Christmas Eve quite a bit. So we had a few that were direct answers, which was pretty nice. But again, what else were you guys asking? Anything else specific?
I was just asking about his sons.
Okay. And he only had the one.
Okay.
And he's buried right next to him in Columbia. So again, it's a monument. Like, you can go visit it. I think it's in the middle of the city somewhere. The college friend's name was Paul Hayne Hamilton. So again, we will get the initials PHH or the name Paul. I'm surprised nobody heard the name Michael. Like, you guys gave me a lot of names tonight, and no Michael. We're standing next to St. Michael's Church. It happens here a lot. I'm excited about the 9.5 and the 11.3 because sometimes we come in here and we got nothing. I also wrote down a couple of like the blue motions that you had. That's right in the center, so something was getting close to him, and it kept going to blue. Normally, if it was just coming from Jose, it would be greens, a lot of greens. But he was getting a lot of blues in between that. I was kind of watching him from a distance, even though I didn't know how much you were resetting it, but he was getting a lot of blue out of that. But again, it's not that we didn't capture anything here. We don't know what we're going to find when we're going through the data. So this was slightly less than an average of all the clues that we got. I'm more excited, I think, about the words George and property showing up. Got the word army.
What is this?
Marica, ¿ya hay alguien?
What do you got?
I saw somebody over there, but
Well, you've been filming this whole time, so hopefully
Yeah.
you caught some.
Pero
That'd
eso
be
que
really
se
cool.
mueve, ¿es una tela? ¿Qué es
it's
eso?
about
The back. Okay.
But yeah, George and property showing up, and we're at Washington Park. I'll take it.
Stop it!
Good stuff. That's why you're here. And you're gonna realize if we do capture something on these cameras, when I give you the markers for that, that was something near one of you. Like those are cool finds.
You know what? In the first place, I really freak out. Like,
You know what's funny? When my daughter's on the tour, and she has done this dozens of times, she gets like a little uneasy and a little queasy when we're there almost every single time. And we were just happening to talk about it the one day because there's some times where I just give her the keys to my car and go back to the car. You know what I mean? Like, she's 17, she can handle herself. Go back to the car, and I'll be, when I'm done, I'll see you. And then we just got to talking about it. I'm like, why are you always sick like on the tour? And she's like, don't you ever notice where it's at? I'm like, no. She's like, it's always at the Pinckney Mansion site, always. So again, can't make this stuff up. I never put the clues together because I always think like, oh, she's just tired of hanging out with dad, and she's gonna go back to the car to listen to music or watch TikTok, or whatever 17-year-old kids do. I'm gonna stop your audio at this point. I don't time this. Obviously, it's 2 hours and 17 minutes, which is definitely going to give you closer to that 6.5 to 7 hours worth of media coming back to you. Here's what this is going to look like for you tomorrow. You're going to get a link, but today's the 5th. I separate all of the tours by month. Your data stays on my website for an entire year, so that way if you want to go back and look at another tour based on something significant to you, you can do that. So if you want to go back and look at Halloween, you can do that. Your birthday, your anniversary, it's there. If I had a tour, it's up there. But it's the 5th. The newest tour always goes on the top, which means there's going to be a lot of tours on top of yours. Try to get to it in the next couple of days because it's going to get buried. I also make sure everything is downloadable. All your videos are going to go to YouTube. Those are easy saves, obviously, right? Your audio pieces are going to be MP3s. I make them that way on purpose. You can right-click them and download them. All of the notes I'm going to give you, copy-paste them into a Word document. It'll bring the links with it. So that way you don't have to keep revisiting my website and scrolling through January of 2023 to find all of your stuff. I also wrote a field guide. So that field guide shows you how to go through each piece of media. So if you didn't have a spirit box or the thermal, it shows you what to look for with actual paranormal evidence of things that were caught on the tour prior.
Okay.
So again, it's there for your help. There's also some apps listed there of things I actually have tested and trust. So if you want to test this stuff out for yourself, there's free apps out there for you guys to go out and explore these spaces in your hometowns. Like I said, I also rate every tour based on the amount of evidence that we caught in real time, plus on my spot checks. That rating is, I guess, explained further in the field guide, so that way you kind of know how I go about doing it and what those numbers actually mean. So it's my own rating system, so you're going to kind of need it. You're going to see, oh, I got a 39. What the hell does that mean? Did I fail? No, that's an average number. So just so you guys have that, you're going to see that when you get to your field guide. I think we did okay tonight, and again, I don't know what I'm going to find in the morning. There's nights where we've had a light night in real time because we struggled with spirit boxes, and the next day it turns out to be an above average tour because of the things that I found that we just missed in real time. So not to mention all of the stuff that you guys are going to find. So I'm going to start collecting devices. My business card is electronic.